Simon Cook, thank you for your time. Today was a pretty big win in the scheme of things against Afghanistan in a one-off T20i. In front of a loud crowd like that, you must be pretty pleased with the boys.
Yeah, very pleased. To finish the tour on such a high is a very good positive. But also the nature of how we actually won the game really kind of emphasised the work that has been put in. Like we've said all the way through this tour, it has been a learning tour, and as long as we are learning every game and we're also implementing what we learn in the next game, it all looks good for Hong Kong. And certainly after the wobble against Oman in the first two games, the guys have really learned and adapted and actually started implementing a lot of the things that we were speaking about. So yeah, very, very happy with the win.
Would it be fair to say it was a pretty high pressure match? Firstly, it's Afghanistan, who's higher ranked, who's been on the international stage for quite a few years. Secondly, there's a big crowd, not huge, but big and incredibly vocal. And some of these players would have never ever experienced that before. So do you think they felt pressure?
It's a bit of a mixture, I think. There's pressure manifests itself in different ways. Sometimes when you're out in the middle and you don't actually realise the noise, because as you say, the noise was pretty loud, but it was also pretty consistent. So that almost turns into white noise. Some of the guys who haven't experienced it, the likes of Chris Carter, would have been probably particularly nervous, but I think the guys that, like Wakas Barkat and Azaz, who were in at the end, pretty cool heads, and they've been there. They played in World Cups before in day-night games where there've been bigger crowds and slightly more pressure. But like we said, it's probably the best team, if you like, on this trip that we've played against, and we probably saved our best run chase for last. Which is good to react as well as they did under pressure. Was excellent.
Certainly, one of the things we've discussed a few times is that the batting hasn't necessarily held up in some other games. Today, there were 4 or 5 players scoring above 20, which it looked like everything was really pulling together today. Yeah,
it obviously helps when your kind of top 6 all contribute. We still kind of need to get to that point where one of those top 6 is finishing off games. We had it against Oman the game before, and we nearly had it again today. But what was encouraging was that we're taking the game really deep into our innings, which gives our hitters and our guys like Wakas and Azaz just the easy task in a way of knocking off easy runs. When they came in, they were run a ball. I think we needed 4 or 5 off the last over, which was then almost a formality.
Well, certainly Wakas decided to hit a boundary with the last ball to do it in style. That's not bad under pressure.
No, absolutely, and again, he stayed pretty calm under pressure. We came in where you could have possibly faltered a little bit, but he's got a pretty calm head, and even ended up having two dot balls in the last over, but then kind of knew that they were going to bowl nice and full at him at some point, and with the field up, he just needed to get it through the field, and it was there, and he knew that he could take it even another ball, and they would have still been easily comfortable of just getting through if they were going to run a single. So again, the experience is starting to get there. We've got a very young side, pre-average age around 23, and to have these experiences are vital when you go into big tournaments, because you become battle-hardened, which is where the Afghanistan team have become so good, certainly in associate cricket, is they've become battle-hardened because they played so many games of cricket under so much pressure, and they just learn from that, and they just realise what they need to do at that critical moment, and that's exactly what we've got to do with our batting unit and our bowling unit as well, is understand those critical moments and what we're going to do at that point, and is it the right thing, or do I need to maybe hang back and choose another option?
Well, certainly talking about the bowling, in the Afghanistan innings, there were 3 runouts, and then 3 bowlers took those other 3 wickets. So it seems quite consistent, or the bowling lineup seems quite consistent, that everyone can put their hand up and take a couple of wickets.
Yeah, and it's we spoke about role clarity quite a lot on this trip, and certainly with the bowling unit, you've seen in all the T20 games that we've played, we haven't used any other. I think we've only used Wackers Khan once as a bowler outside of the 5 that we use, and so those guys are really starting to understand their role, when they're going to bowl, what is expected of them at certain points in the game, and that just helps the kind of unit just flow. Everyone's starting to know where they're going to field, when they're going to start to bowl, where they're going to bat, what their role is. And you're starting to see that coming together now, where everyone knows what they're doing, and it makes Tanny's life a lot easier when he's captaining, because he's not having to try and put people where they need to go to. People just run there, and they just go. So you start actually, the team starts running itself, and when you get to that point, that's when you start to get a really powerful sense of momentum going, and confidence within the group, because everyone has got confidence in each other.
So last question, that was the last game of the tour. What are the coach's orders for tonight for the team?
So we've got team curfew tonight. No one is allowed in the hotel before 12 o'clock, which is obviously a reverse from the normal. No, they can go out and they can enjoy themselves. They've had a long tour. They've been brilliant throughout the whole trip. So yeah, tonight is a reward for them. They can go out and do whatever they want, and as long as they are in the hotel ready to leave for the airport when we have to go home tomorrow, that's fine.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much and well done.
No worries.